Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
Hey, this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary, and you are listening and hopefully watching the You Should Know podcast. Ryan, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am wonderful. I've never had a bad day in my life. It's beautiful outside. And
not true.
How do you know it's not true? You don't live in my head.
I have evidence.
Well, that's kind of not true. You do live in my head because I hear you at night. I hear you in the morning.
Oh, that's terrible. I don't even hear me. I get tired of my own voice. Ivneet, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well, William and Ryan. And yes, I have definitely had bad days, Ryan, so I will not even.
Although you're in Miami, you're not having too many bad days.
Yeah.
I'm not. I can stare at the blue ocean right there. So
that's not bad at all. So
as long as you're inside.
Yeah. Why don't we do some introductions real quick? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, from a professional perspective, I right now serve as the Chief Information and Technology Officer for Sterling. If any of you who don't know Sterling, we are a global provider of background and identity services. We serve clients in about 240 countries, and hopefully you are also using us for hiring people. And I have responsibility for all of their internal and external technology, data, and security ecosystem. And I'm also the founder and sponsor of Sterling's AI program.
Ryan, before we get into questions, we got a topic that we want to we were going to go down a lot of different rabbit holes, but with your expertise and breadth of knowledge, we want to kind of keep it simple and do the state of AI, just kind of get your take on a lot of things that we're seeing in the marketplace. So with that being said, let's just start basically, because you're like you said, you're the founder of kind of, I would assume what you're trying to do is build ethical AI, right? So what's your approach on auditing right now AI so that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing? So like, what's your take on that right now?
Yeah, so I think of it as three different monikers that I would say: ethical, responsible, secure. Okay. So when we started our journey, we knew that there is a lot of hype around things, but we didn't want to just jump into it and just start using it and making it widely available and all those kind of things. So we took a step back and we said we are going to take a thoughtful and holistic approach, which takes into account what is our strategy, what is the governance model, how are we going to handle the pace of change, how are we going to handle the upskilling, and more importantly, how are we going to separate the hype from reality. And there are a lot of do's and do nots which come into play there. And part of that is also auditing and making sure that you're not providing incorrect results and answers. And that's where I think the thing which comes into play really is having a very strong governance model, which is not just built on just having engineers in it. In this governance models, we have our HR partners, we have marketing, we have privacy, we have compliance, we have security, we have product and engineering. So what we did was we set up this cross-functional group who is going to be able to be our steering committee and our governance group to guide us as we bring use cases. And we evaluate every single use case through multiple dimensions. And security, privacy, and compliance are a huge part of it to make sure, is it something we should really be doing, should not be doing, or can we do a portion of it? So all of those things we take into consideration even before we start developing that use case. Doesn't mean we're stopping experimentation, doesn't mean we're not giving people sandboxes to do things, but when it comes to real use case evaluation, we are being very careful and thoughtful, especially because our business is also heavily regulated. People depend on us to hire their most important asset, people. So for us, it's even more critical to do that. And, jumping in and just doing things without thinking through all of those things is not always
how do we and I know we'll get into a number of these scenarios as we continue on, but how does one...
Are you tired of talent and HR podcasts that sound like corporate training videos? Same. Talentless is the no-fluff show about hiring, leadership, culture, and what's actually going on in the world of work. Talentless is a podcast for recruiters by recruiters. Hosted by Desiree Goldie and Ashley King, they're smart, occasionally salty, and never afraid to say what everyone else is thinking. Listen wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe at talentlesspodcast.com.
Delineate between hype and reality. I know that's a big question. I get it.
No, she's got a take. I know she's got a take on this.
But it was one of the first things you mentioned, and I was kind of like, do I wait for this? Let's just get into it. How do we delineate between hype and reality? Because there's pressure from clients that want you to be more innovative.
Yeah,
there's
on the edge, bleeding edge.
Yeah, on the bleeding edge, there's pressure from internal people that say, why can't we go and do this? How do we go faster? How do we go further? Mm-hmm. But how do we hone in on that? And really, how do you look at that?
So, this is going to sound very, very basic, but these things are usually, to do them, they are always simple, but they're always hard. So the way I think about the North Star is the way we bring back to people is, okay, what is the problem we're trying to solve for our customers, whether it's our internal employees or our external customers? What is the problem? Because I remember going through that even at Sterling, where the use cases were coming out of woodwork, even though half of them did not need AI to solve them. But it just came to people's mind, this is this new AI, Gen AI capabilities available. Can I just use it to solve this problem? The answer is no, not really. Right. There are cheaper, better ways to do it. But coming back to your question on hype versus reality, first is your North Star is what is the real business problem you're trying to solve? Whether it's related to experience, efficiency, optimization, productivity, whatever that is. You have to have a very good sense of that. Second, you have to have a really good evaluation process and a group of smart people who are able to look at these capabilities.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a lot of AI washing going on. I'm sure you guys have heard of the term greenwashing. There is AI washing going on where every single vendor has now added AI as a buzzword to the offerings they do, whether they use AI or not, or use it in a very limited capacity. So having the right talent in-house is very important also, where somebody can dig deep to test the capability. So that testing and learning capability from a technical perspective and from a privacy and compliance perspective is important. And that's sort of what we did. We put a cross-functional group of people together to do that before we go much further into it. So those two things I would definitely suggest that which happen. And then there's a continuous education. So this is not a one and done thing. The space is evolving incredibly fast. It has, I would say, the honeymoon period has gotten over a little bit in 24, and people are realizing that there is a lot more to it than just launching some chatbots, if you will, and it requires a more, much bigger holistic approach. But it's still a very cool, innovative technology, and I am very, I would say, bullish about it. There is a lot of potential to do a lot of good for the organization and for people. So keep your North Star in mind, what business problems you're solving. Have the right set of skill sets in-house who can help you separate this hype from reality and truly test.
Your customers probably have given you this feedback as well, because some things that we hear in terms of centralizing AI versus decentralizing AI. So some companies will have marketing will be using Gen AI to do X, Y, and Z. Finance is using it to do something else. And they wake up and it's like AI is throughout the organization. It's just not, no one's got one finger on the pulse of what's going on with AI, which I think, to your point, creates kind of security and privacy issues that could happen. And it seems like y'all have centralized it to where if someone in marketing is going to use AI, then they've got to go through an approval process or some type of process. Did I get that right?
Yes. So I think of it as you have to centralize to decentralize. So when you're starting on these things from a journey perspective, you have to make sure you're giving people the right guardrails, the right set of tools, the right set of policies, the right set of processes, a combination of all these things, and not to mention the organizational change management. But then you're also giving them enough freedom within the guardrails to experiment and launch their own capabilities. So it's, I think of it a little bit more of a hybrid model, if you will, not fully centralized and not fully decentralized. Especially when you're starting, the centralization is very critical to set the right guardrails.
Especially, again, letting people innovate. You don't want to squish that out of any department or any area in the company. Everyone should be able to innovate. But at the same time, if the innovation opens you up to a security breach or privacy breach, the innovation's not worth it. So, I mean, there is that balancing that delicate balancing that professionals like you are trying to figure out, like, okay, we need innovation at the same time. Data's got to be secure, it's got to be private. I mean,
one of the questions I have is we hear a lot about ethical AI and ethical everything. But from the horse's mouth, someone who's doing this at a large company and doing and managing, overseeing a lot of innovation, what does ethical AI mean to you?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ryan, because is ethical subjective?
Right.
It could be, but ethical to me is do no harm.
Okay.
That's do no harm. That's the definition I go with. Well, overall in general, not just in context of using AI or any technology or building any product. So we don't want to be biased, let's say, towards candidates, whether we are hiring them internally or helping our clients hire them externally. We don't want to give our clients something which can make them biased towards a certain set of candidate pool they're trying to hire. So that's the lens to use, that how do we remove bias and how do we not harm our clients or our candidates as we are developing any products or solutions. And AI just exacerbates that more because of the capabilities that it brings to the table. But that's how I think
we'll steal that. If you don't mind, we're going to steal that and use that for ourselves. All right, so Ryan and I do a news show on Sundays, and we kind of cover the market. A couple of weeks ago, Andreessen Horowitz came out and said they were going to support Trump. But one of the reasons that Mark said he's going to support Trump was he doesn't want government interference with AI, which I found fascinating. I mean, just the whole thing is fascinating on some level, right? So what's your take on, because y'all are a heavily regulated industry, right? Could almost like finance or like insurance, healthcare, etc. Like, okay, got it. What do you think about government jumping into this particular foray into this particular area and setting regs and setting different things that you can do, can't do, etc. Like, is that a positive thing for y'all, net, or is that you'd rather, like Mr. Horowitz?
I think it's a positive thing. I personally think government has a role to play. Okay. I do think government has a role to play, and here is how I think about it. And again, I'm going to see it in broad terms. The way I think about it is that you're getting two different lenses. Government has a different lens to this problem than Mark does. Mark is trying to drive the innovation really fast and solve very, very big problems. Yes, got it. That is critical to do, and what has happened in Silicon Valley has changed all our lives and world. So, big fan of being able to move fast. But I'm not a big believer in moving fast and breaking so much that we start harming people. And that's where I see the government's role coming in, where you're looking at a holistic ecosystem and you're trying to prevent harm to the most vulnerable people. So look at the use of AI, which can happen in people getting scammed. I mean, the scams are becoming more realistic, and that's just one example of those things.
That we used to get. The Nigerian prince email that we used to get. Yeah. Far more sophisticated.
Now it's like my mom will send me an email and I will not be able to recognize that it's a fake. So those kind of things, that's where I think the government plays a role, because it looks at a much wider spectrum of people to make sure that we have the regulations and protections in place while the innovation is happening. The problem is government is always doing catching up. That's what frustrates the innovators, because government is like 5 years behind in catching up. So to me, the problem to solve is, how do you bring government along quicker? How do you have that think tank, that group of people who are working together from the very beginning when a new tech is getting developed and what its impact can be, versus trying to be at odds with each other? Because I believe they can be really great partners together to really drive this innovation in a responsible way.
Then we get into, this is way too political for me, but that's when we get into Congress and the Senate and, being tech innovators, right? And I think they question Zuckerberg and some of these others, and I listened to it. I was like, man, this is awkward. Like, listening.
So tell me about this My Book.
Yeah. What is My Book, right? Yeah, so...
So you have this face space. What do you do on the face space?
Yeah. So it's awkward. Yeah. Ivneet, I like your take on that. I think that's
I did not expect that, actually.
It's very easy to understand.
I have to admit, I thought you were going to go the other direction, Ivneet. I thought you were going to go the other direction. Keep them out of our business. Just keep them out. Yeah. Let us do our bit. We'll manage it.
But it does make sense, right? I mean, technology moves incredibly fast, right? And these big companies who have leaders that otherwise we would be significantly behind the rest of the world are pushing at that type of speed. They don't want to be held back. No. But then we're left to the feelings of that person and what they want to do to accomplish their goal. So the oversight, how you explained it, I think makes complete sense. Question I have is around the state of AI. If you had to, and I know this is maybe a really bad question because you can't sum it up in a couple of sentences, although I think you might be able to do this. I feel like you have this ability. How would you describe or explain the state of AI to somebody who's just casually interested in what's happening?
Tuesday on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the highly anticipated new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon. Series premiere Tuesday on NBC.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
While you're thinking, I'll tell you what I read the other day. And Ryan, I've told you this. Guy, it was an analyst, and he said, we're in the first inning of a 10,000 inning game. So what we know of AI, again, the difference between machine learning and NLP and large language models and all these different things that we kind of understand, we have no idea. In our lifetimes,
we'll never know.
We won't see a fraction of what's to be developed. It's the way that he he packaged up.
I agree. We won't. And that's what makes it exciting to me. So to me, if somebody is casually browsing, I would say, learn about it. It's exciting. This is the time to learn about it and get yourself familiar with it. You are already using it. So if I'm a casual person, like if I use Amazon, everybody uses Amazon. I am using AI at this time because that's what they're using to give me recommendations and even their own operation. So learn about it.
Right.
Be curious about it. Because, and I think of it at, from the other dimensions. If you're a parent, you want to think about it, how can it impact your kids? If you're a student, how is it going to impact your future job? If you are a professional like me, you have no choice but to continue to learn about it. So everybody has something to gain by learning about it. So how do we simplify that? How do we simplify it for different personas with different age groups and make it more targeted on how it impacts them is what I would love to see more focus on. Because the information is...
Be curious.
There is so much information out there.
Ryan uses ChatGPT. Which version are you on? You're on 4, right?
4, yeah.
And it's funny because like every day he'll bring a new prompt or a new thing that he's learning, and it reminds me very much of the internet in like say 1998, where it was just fun. Like you get on the web and you go to message boards and it was just a fun bit. Like you didn't think about all the downsides and all the darkness and all the other stuff that would come, or that probably even was there. But you just had fun. You're like, okay, let me see if I can find a pet store in Pittsburgh. Like you just do this random stuff just to see, and it was playful. And again, nobody got hurt. It was fun. I see the parallels. I think it's going to move far faster than the internet did. Mm-hmm. So I think that Moore's law applied to AI versus the internet. I think that's going to happen.
I do think more people who learn about it, that will make innovation faster, but also safer. Because more people who know about it, then you have more perspectives coming in, both positive and negative, and that's what all the innovators in Silicon Valley and worldwide need, to hear that, rather than a very close group of people who are at the cutting edge of it, but that's where the bias also comes in, because you're not really hearing from everybody you need to hear from.
Okay, so you've probably seen this in different cycles, but I've always been curious about how standards get made, like simple stuff like an iPhone plug versus a Droid plug, right? Like who made the decision, and why didn't they just make the same damn plug?
Yeah. My house would be so much smoother.
But it's like big companies, they'll make decisions on standards that are their standards. And do you see that play out? I mean, obviously the big ones with Microsoft and Google and Facebook, and pick all your other ones that you like. Is it going to become kind of another game of them creating standards and adhering to a standard of a company versus a standard of, AI is versus AI with Microsoft is, AI with Google is, AI with Amazon is, etc. So question is about standards.
I think there will be, there will be some of that. I will tell you, and maybe I'm glass half full on this one, but I do believe there will be a lot more interoperability.
Well, you are an optimist.
They need
wow.
it.
I like this. Wow. All righty. We found one, Ryan. We were looking.
Yeah. I can see them all next week. They're all around a table. They go, let's get standards for everybody.
Maybe not. Maybe not. They will all want to push their products, but however, I do believe they also want interoperability because they also know that one of them is not going to.
That's right.
"Quote unquote" win this race. So I'll give you a parallel example, which hopefully they all learn from. We have 3 main cloud providers, right? You have GCP, you have AWS, you have Azure. Okay, it's not that easy to move from one to another, but more and more companies want to do that from a DR perspective, BCP perspective, capabilities perspective. So to me, that increases the usage of cloud and the cloud adoption and all those things if you actually make that happen. So it's good business. So it's not goodness of the heart, but it's good business. That's how I think about the AI journey as well, that hopefully learning from those parallels, these companies are going to be more open to having at least a set of base standards where they're interoperable and they're able to use each other's stuff or allow clients like us to build things on top of 2 providers or have a stronger DR plan. So that's at least the parallel I draw in my head when I think about it. Of course, they all get paid very, very big bucks to make those decisions.
Yeah,
so we'll see, but
it's like a frictionless way. We need a frictionless way to work together.
Well, see,
I think of Amazon here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think of Amazon and the return process, which has changed a little bit. They have changed a little bit. You have to click a few more buttons, but it is so frictionless and easy. You don't like it, return. Goodbye. No questions asked. I don't need a receipt, nothing. Well, obviously, because it's online, but it's easy. And that makes me go back to Amazon instead of going to the store.
Yeah, but
because
you see what I'm struggling with, Ryan, is that's centralized. The Amazon can represent 1,000 vendors, but they still have it centralized. ChatGPT 4 is going to get to know you really well.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going to move over to Gemini or you're going to move over to another large language model, right? And will you have to, I'm assuming, will you have to start over?
Yes.
And I'm thinking about the portability of, using ChatGPT, and again, this is dumb examples, but using that and all of a sudden having to use something new and starting all the way over. It's like remember we went voice to text and you use a voice to text thing. And if you used one of them, like I used Google, and if you used it and you stuck with it,
it got better.
It got okay. But if you tried a different one, man, it was horrible. So that's one of my worries is we get siloed into one of these products. And then now it's a battle of products.
Before we move on, I need to let you know about my friend Mark Pfeffer and his show, People Tech. If you're looking for the latest on product development, marketing, funding, big deals happening in talent acquisition, HR, HCM, that's the show you need to listen to. Go to the Work Defined Network, search up People Tech, Mark Pfeffer. You can find him anywhere.
It's about exactly. And that poses another very interesting question, I think, which we all wrestle with all of these companies and always have. What right do I have on my data? The question of consent. Why should I not be able to port it? I can port my phone number, so I should be able to port my data and on which this model got
that would be
trained.
Man, that's a great company to create. Seriously, I think we just created $1 billion company. Just that alone is that.
All right, I'm going to hit stop recording. Let's all get into the back
this shit
room.
will never get published. No, but just think of that technology, the portability of being able to have a suitcase of that large language model, and then taking that and being able to import that into a new model and getting them up to date, and then you can use a new model.
Yeah,
it's fine. Like,
well, we've seen
somebody's going to create that company.
We've seen that with we just had a conversation recently with Gauge. Same idea. You get a Gauge score, and the candidate can take that from employer to employer. It's portable, and so it's your skill set, it's your references, it's your performance reviews, all of that. Like at some point, we'll get there. Yeah,
that'll be easier on the blockchain because you can have it third party validated.
Right.
What do you think? Because we do have. I think there's maybe two companies in HR tech or work tech that has third-party audited AI. I'm thinking of a company in Australia called Rejig. And we were talking to the CEO a while back, and she said, when we started, we didn't know what we didn't know. So we started down the path, and then we just okay, internally, we're only going to know so much. So they hired a university, and they paid them really well to then just take all their algorithms and then say, okay, tell us what needs to change. Because we could do it internally, and we do it internally. However, having someone look at what you're trying to do, again, in your case, do no harm, does it actually do that? Have y'all given that any thought, the idea of hiring a consulting firm or just somebody that does this for a living to third-party audit your AI?
Absolutely. We are not doing the AI use cases where we need that auditing, but that will be definitely at the top of my list, at least, to put a very strong model governance process in place.
Right.
And it's not one-time auditing, right? It's a continuous auditing. Just like you use SOC 2 audits, SOX audits. It should be, in my mind, it should become a similar rigor when it comes to the AI models as well, where somebody can certify those things for you on an ongoing basis. And yes, you have to give them data and you have to do all the work. It adds extra work, but given the challenges we have with AI and Gen AI in general about the explainability of the answers which are being given or how you're using it, in a narrow set, there is absolutely case for third party to come in and audit.
We've gotten questions recently around technology's role in how a company acts. I'm thinking specifically around talent acquisition.
Right.
And so maybe the software is leveraging AI to create rankings or recommendations. And the company goes forward and they make a decision based off of that recommendation, right? I know you know where this is going. So the talent leaders, their question to us has been, I'm trusting the software. What if that data is bad? How do I then cover myself, and is my company liable? What's your kind of take there?
Yep.
The company is absolutely liable. If you're using a software, if you're using a third-party software, that third-party risk management, and now even more so with the lens of what it's going to provide you, is your responsibility to make sure. So I do think that if you're going to use it for hiring, if it's Workday, it's whatever, we all know the story which happened there. We are liable if we're going to use it. And honestly, I personally, I believe there are a lot more use cases for AI which are quote unquote less risky to bring into organizations than using it to rank and stack resumes and make hiring decisions. I personally would not feel comfortable with that because I don't believe that the models are quite there yet where they can pick up the intangibles, and they're trained on historical biased data.
That's right.
That is a big problem. So to me, that use case, you have to be very, very careful. Maybe it's a narrow use case where you're hiring just interns or you're hiring gig workers who have a very narrow set of skill sets, but not in a wider sense without a human in the loop.
So our best case is still to train the human to remove the bias. Yeah.
Well, I think some of the cases that we've seen, Ryan, is like say in Sterling's case, let's say it's a monitoring, so it's not a screen. It's a company that's monitoring employees. AI can do a whole hell of a lot to monitor, but then kick it to an employee and say, this has been flagged. You know, of course, the AI is not saying anything. This has been flagged. And then the employee can then do the investigation and make sure that that is true, not true, et cetera, something that actually needs to be flagged or not. But I think the models right now that we're working with is more augmentation, where AI goes and does a bunch of things and doesn't make a decision. It just gives information to humans so that they make decisions.
Make the decision. So, question I have then that comes up, and this is, I guess, for both of you, but if need for you, really, a lot of people say, and you say this, William, you say trust but verify, right? So, don't spit your water, right? Trust but verify.
Reagan actually said that. But
yeah, well, yes. So he did. Yes, you're correct. So scenario, and I'm curious to get your take here. I'm using an AI. I'm using a platform to do something, right? Maybe it's giving me, it's not ranking a candidate or anything like that, but it's giving me information. It says, here, Ryan, now take this and you go make your decision. So now I'm taking that information, I'm trusting it because my company said, yes, this is the software that we trust. Now I need to go verify. How do I verify that? Am I going to another AI to verify it? Am I going to Google to verify that? Again, I know it depends on what information, but at the fingertips of a recruiter or an HR manager or a talent director, how do they verify this properly?
Verify what though? Because it's very contextual, Ryan. What are they trying to
in the case of a background check, it could be a criminal conviction. So something like that gets flagged, then that person can verify. First of all, it should have sources of where it found that, to where you could go back and see the source material to then say, oh, okay, it got that wrong, or it got that right. So a person was convicted, but then the case was thrown out on a technicality.
Go to your local municipality, whatever is
whatever the source material is.
Right. So the multiple layers are needed, and that's what we do. So we don't just in the entire process chain that we have, whether we use AI or not. You get something from one place, but then you go to the actual source. Because this is a real case that there could be a conviction in one court, but then it was thrown out 7 years later, and all those kind of cases come up with or without AI. So you have to go to the source to do that verification, whether it's manual, whether it's automated. What AI really helps you in those cases to do, you don't have to read 100 documents. Which actually you can make more mistakes reading 100 documents versus giving it to a machine to say, could you pull this out for me and find this information? And I actually don't miss information. That's where, and that is something we have used at Sterling, the power of reading from documents and summarizing it and actually pulling all the relevant data versus training humans to go through 20 code documents or 30 code documents.
Yeah.
So it can be used for that power of good, if you will, in this case, versus just relying on our brains to read a ton of information.
Are you building your own LLM for Sterling? You're using I don't want to get into proprietary stuff. I just was curious about that. The question I have is, what's keeping you up at night as it relates to AI? I'm sure you sleep well. So,
what keeps me up at night is AI attacks, AI security attacks, because I believe the frequency of security attacks is going to increase. It's already increasing because of the AI capabilities, and whether it's a phishing scam or whether it's the ability of AI to run scripts, right. All different kind of things which can happen. That's what keeps me up at night, and I know the security tooling is trying to catch up with it, but the hacker community is moving very, very fast and exploiting. That's what keeps me up at night.
If I were in your position, that's exactly what would keep me up at night, is privacy and security. Just how do I keep people safe? Getting back to that do not harm. That's both your clients as well as Sterling proper. Yep, I got it. Brian?
As you're saying that, I was thinking this is exactly the reason, other than I'm not smart enough to do what you do, 100%, like not even close. But that is a reason why I would never be able to do what you do, because I don't think corporate or say software, however you want to, platforms are ever going to outpace the hackers. It is a constant battle. It's never going
bad
to
bad actors because there's no rules. Bad actors can innovate faster.
Yeah, and it's not a question of why can't you think ahead of them? Why not go hire them? Well, because then they're already in your system, right? There's a lot of that. That not just would keep me up and it prevent me from ever holding your job. So I give you a lot of kudos for that. So there's no question in that. It was just
thank you.
Yeah, it was just an observation of you've confirmed that I would never have your role.
I will never have yours. I can do what you
There you go. I feel a little more important.
Last thing for me is, okay, so we talked about the dark side. Let's talk about the light side. What excites you just immediately, just right around the corner about AI? Like, what's this year? You're giddy about this phase that we're in AI.
Listen. That's the sound of the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. The sound of captivating electric performance, dynamic drive, and the quiet confidence of ultra-smooth handling. The elevated interior reminds you this is more than an EV. This is electric performance, redefined. The fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron.
One thing which I am really hopeful that which can happen is, and in both personal and professional capacity, is if I don't have to be on phone with a customer service rep for 40 minutes let's say in a healthcare setting, or if I think of Sterling proper as a candidate, I don't have to be on phone, and I have, an AI clone on either side or both sides who can do that question answer and then bring me in at the right time. The amount of time it will save and the amount of frustration it will take away in just personal, professional, both sides of life.
Wouldn't it be amazing? You ever when you're in queue and it says, if you want to receive a call back. Boom. Yes, I do. And then the phone rings and I get back on the phone and it says, please wait as we find an operator. And it's 10 minutes later. Wouldn't it be great for them to get the same message from you? Like they're asking your clone and then your clone says, please hold for Ivneet. She'll be with you momentarily to answer that question. And 10 minutes later, you get on the call. Like, that would be amazing.
I think syncing all that. I love that. The optimism of that's such an inefficient process. And it sucks up our time. Ryan chats with a lot of the technologies that we use for the show. And
But those are humans. They're actual humans. They're just bad at their job. I'd rather have an AI at this point. There are some where the AI is actually better than the humans in some of the platforms that we use.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's like they'll respond in email. This is how inefficient it is. He'll start a chat. You do this too, I'm sure. You'll start a chat, and all of a sudden he's okay. Enough of this. I got to move on to the next thing. and then they'll send an email and say, it looks like you left and the chat's over. It's like, I left because no one was responding.
Nobody responded.
This has been so educational. Thank you so much for carving out time. We can't even imagine how busy you are, but thanks for coming on the show and breaking things down for us.